Greetings, Judah. DFG here, Gideon's Flight. Hey guys, this message is going to be brief, if you can believe that. But, I want to read something to you, and then I want to remind you of something that most of you probably know about, some of you may not know about, and I think it's only fair, that if you haven't heard about it, for whatever reason that might be, at least you'll hear about it from your brother on this channel on this day, August 12th. The book of John, the gospel according to John 16, quite frankly, let me read this to you right quick. This is what it says. And they shall put you out of their synagogues, or churches, whatever you want to call it. They shall put you out of their synagogues. Yes, the time comes. The day will come. The moment will come. It's going to come for every true believer, every Israelite, every son and daughter of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The day will come. Those of us who have come out from among them, those of us who are strong enough to resist the temptation of comfortableness in the lives of Christianity and all of its associated religions, churches, organizations, societies, etc. The time will come, brothers and sisters. Hear me clearly. States this, that whoever will kill you will think that they're doing Yahuwah a service. And you heard me correctly. John prophesied that that day would come, that all of the so-called churches, synagogues, whatever they are, for some reason, they are going to look upon your actions and kill you. And not only that, they're going to think that it's justified. That is exactly what Yahuwah told them to do. Now I bring that out not to spend, or marinate or spend much time, talking about them killing us. Revelation talks about that, many of our brothers and sisters would have to be martyred, that we would have to die, for the faith, that the saints of Israel moan and groan at the throne of Elohim, asking him how long before he redeems them. And what does he say to them? When your brothers, your sisters are martyred just like you for the faith. And what do you mean by the faith? For the truth. Because we are coming out and we're saying that these lies that they're telling us, through religion and Christianity and who's our savior, when we call them out on that, they call us demagogue or hate teachers or, bittered or disillusioned, false teachers, false prophets, etc. But I will tell you, brothers and sisters, pay them no mind. Pay them no mind. It's prophesied that they would do it. They will hate you. They would want to kill you, thinking that they're doing Yahuwah a favor. And Yahuwah said, no, he's going to come right back and he's going to burn their asses in hell. We will die, for the truth, but they will burn eternally, for putting their hands on the elect of Elohim. That is written in the book. That being stated, let me move on. I want to talk a little bit about, this Biden administration decision here to hire 87,000 IRS agents. And by the way, some of those agents are going to be given weapons and they're going to be trained to use deadly force. And some of you, again, are not aware of this. And my concern for you is why? Why aren't you aware of this? Why would this government hire 87,000 IRS agents and train some of them to use deadly force? Is it because they're now going to come back and they're going to start exercising, Federal Emergency Management Agency? I think that's FEMA. Close. Now they're going to start showing you why they had all those FEMA camps. We're all gonna find out what was the intention of all of those Walmarts that were closing, all those big warehouses that were closing a couple of years ago. Why they were doing all those urban warfare exercises in cities like New York and Los Angeles, but lying and telling the public that, oh no, Jed Helm, that's just for, for tactical warfare in places like Iraq and places that are nowhere near, the urban, complexity that you would have to train military exercise. You'd have to do military exercises in the middle of the night, scaling buildings, dropping people out of, helicopters or whatever, warplanes. You remember the whole thing about the wall and building the wall, and remember the immigrants who came across and how they had them, in these little FEMA camps, detention centers. You know how they just magically went away under the Biden administration? Kapoof. And everybody was saying the poor refugees, or not the poor immigrants, how could they treat them so harshly? Brothers, I'm going to tell you something. Sisters, the wool was pulled over so many of these Americans' eyes, and in particular, Israel, the so-called Negro, our people. The wool was pulled right over your eyes, our eyes. At least some, not all of us. Wasn't pulled over my eyes. I understood from the beginning that there's no way they were going to build a wall to stop people from coming in when they got tunnels that actually, human traffic in and always has. The illegals who come here, the majority of those illegals come through the underground tunnels that lead all over this country. Deep underground military bases. But most of us don't even know that. But you can look it up. Look it up for yourself. Why do you think they're building all these bunkers underground and all these houses and highways underground? Because there's a plan and there's a purpose. And I'll get into that in a moment. The second purpose. But see these 87,000 IRS agents? You know what they're going to do, brothers? Now they claim that these agents are only going to be auditing people who are in the income bracket of $400,000 a year or more. Now, if you believe that, then you know what I'm going to tell you. I got that oceanfront property in Arizona that I can sell to you, where you can see the Pacific Ocean, and I'll sell that to you real cheap. In other words, you are going to get hoodwinked, or you're being hoodwinked. People are making almost $500,000 a year. They know how to protect, any artist, they know how to protect their income. They know how to protect, all of their filings, all of their finances. They have financial lawyers who help them, put their money in safe places. And by the time, this federal government, anybody else finish the court, fighting them in court, they would have no usage for 87,000 IRS agents. No, brothers and sisters, this is what your brother is telling you. It's all starting to come together in the end. These FEMA camps, prison camps, they're going to be what you would call debtors' prisons. Debtors' prisons. And what they're intending to do with these 87,000 IRS agents, and I believe I'm hearing from Elohim when I share this with you, so you can hold me to what I say here. These agents are going to go and they're going to start auditing people like you and myself. From the poorest of the poor to the white collar middle class. And if you took any kind of money, remember the stimulus money? If you took any of that money and you cannot prove, first of all, that you were qualified to take it, secondly, that the usage of it was for what you said or what it was intended for you to use it for, you're going to go to jail. And that's why they're heavily arming some of these agents. Because think, why would an IRS auditor need to have a gun and be trained how to use deadly force? What that mean? That means, are they going to come to your door to arrest you? What other purpose would they need to use deadly force? Think about it, brothers and sisters. 87,000, for all 10 persons, military trained auditors who's going to go back through all of your records. For what intention? Oh, I know somebody said because some of these people were cheating the government. So you got enough people cheating this government where they needed almost 100,000 IRS agents. And what if the people did? What if you did? What if you cheated the government? What if you did what you needed to do because you needed the money? Not justifying you doing it, but I mean, after all, they didn't give us free money. They didn't give us free money. The money that was given to most of the people were the money these people have been paying into taxes. Money that they created out of thin air, quite frankly. So why should you go to jail for utilizing it? They're not going to jail. I remember when that banking crisis happened, what was that, 2008? And all of those executives who had cheated people out of all of their life savings. I remember those banks that the country bailed out. You bailed out, I bailed out. I remember the Obama administration not only, letting those people get their bonuses, but a lot of those people got maximum bonuses. I'm talking about the people who worked in the financial institutions. And no criminal, nobody went to jail for it. One or two little, how would you say, Ponzi's is what they call them. Just to throw everybody off, the Bernie Madoffs of the world. Some of the Enron executives, but the rest of these folk got off scot-free and were let loose again on the public with their hijacks. No, brothers and sisters, these 87,000 agents are going to be knocking on many of your doors. If you got any of that money by hook or crook. And that's the only way I can say it. By hook or crook, I mean, if you kind of cooked the books in your favor, you kind of took advantage, you took some leverage, you claimed some things you shouldn't have claimed, or you took the money and bought a Louis purse, or maybe paid off, some bills or what have you. Don't be surprised, brothers and sisters, they come looking for you. And when you don't have the resources to pay them back with interest, you're going right to the labor camps. That's why they emptied all those warehouses. That's why they emptied all of those Walmarts and put security cameras and gates around them. That's why you see all these military exercises going on all through the country. Because they are going to use many of you as prison labor under the guise to make America great again. To help America pay off its debts. And after all, hell, you were part of the problem that they got into this deep hole, so shut your mouth and do as we say. And let us not forget all those coffins that were purchased. Many of you guys have forgotten about this, but I haven't. And y'all told me to come and remind you this morning. All those coffins that were purchased. Millions of coffins. All those guillotines that were purchased. Oh yeah, again, under the Obama administration. Not that Bush would have did anything different, or Clinton, or Biden, or Trump. They all would have done the same thing. They all work for the same people, brother. Don't get it twisted. These people are agents of Satan. And what I mean by that, our adversaries. These are demons. Demons. And Israel come back to you. You're looking at it, well, I ain't get but a little money. They don't care how much money you got. Can you pay it back? Right now, if you got audited for all the stimulus money that you received, can you justify what you did with it? Do you have the paperwork to back it up, not just your word? And secondly, do you have the resources to pay them back? And I suspect most of our people don't have it. Yes, some of the heathens may have it, but most of Israel don't have it. And they know we don't have it. So the reward that you're going to get, especially if you were one of those who were, in my opinion, duped into voting for Biden, you were fooled into it. Because if you knew about Biden, you knew he was all about incarcerating Israelites. The man built his whole political career around locking up people that look like you, I mean, me and you, or you and I. He built his career around that. He was proud of it. Amen? Biden was proud of it. He built his career around it. And now his legacy, I'm sure as he sees it, and those, the hidden hand that you don't see, his legacy going to be, man, look, we got them all. We got most of them. And for those of you who say, well, I'm not going to go to jail, I'd rather die. Well, then John 16 just told you about that too. They're going to kill you and thinking they did Yah a favor. Now, I don't say this to make you afraid, brothers and sisters. I tell you this because it's time to, brother, to sisters, this is time to call out on Yah. And we've talked about this many times before. This is time, this is time to seek his face, sisters and brothers. And you strangers out there too, talking about you so-called whites and Asians and Latinos and others, they coming for you too. You're not going to escape this net. This is a big fisher's net. When fishermen go out to sea, they may go out to get lobsters, but sometimes they'll get shrimp and they'll get certain fish and turtles and dolphins and other things. Brother, this is a big wide net, and you heathens out there, you Gentiles out there, yeah, you're going to get caught up in it too. Unless you're rich enough to buy your way out. Otherwise, you've been duped too. Brother against brother. That's judgment from Yah. But what you do with this information, that's totally up to you. But Judah, Israel, my brothers and sisters, for you, it's time now to get your ducks in a row. It's now time for you to go back. If you took any of that money from these folk, then get your paperwork together so you can show these people what you did with that money. Because they're going to come back on you. And you can ask some of these people down here in Louisiana about the money they got from Hurricane Katrina. FEMA gave them money to build their houses up or to rebuild their houses or elevate their homes. Some did, many didn't. And those who did not, guess what? They're being called to court. They're being sued now to get that money back. And I'm going to tell you something. They're going to end up in them same empty warehouses that are not going to be empty too long. Those guillotines, again, that I mentioned, those coffins that I mentioned, many of our people, are sickly. Not going to be able to deal with hard labor. They're not going to be able to do it. And then a lot of our young people, you know how rebellious they are? They feel like they just going to show out. And they get in there, they think they're going to get with their little gang and they're going to just take over the jail. Little brother, little sister, if that be you, you got another thing coming. Them guillotines gonna set y'all straight real fast. Once you see a couple of heads pop off of shoulders, you're gonna comply. You're gonna get in line. It won't take long. Just a little splatter here, a little splatter there, a little horror this, a little horror that, you'll be good. See, they got those camps ready now. They used those so-called immigrants who came in. That was a test run. That was to find out, okay, how do we secure people in here? How do we feed them in here? How do we separate the adults from the children? How do we keep the children safe from the pedophiles in here? How does this whole thing work? So they had a couple of years to work it out, work out the kinks. And now they're ready. And that's what you saw. That's what you saw when they passed this so-called climate change bill that somehow another $87,000. 87,000 Asians were a part of it. And most of Israel sleep at the wheel, as usual. Aloof. Got their mind on all the wrong things. Well, now I'm going to say to you, Israel, my brothers and sisters, you need to get yourself straightened out before Yahuwah, before it's too late. Because if there is a saving grace for us, it will be in him. We read the book that said that, he was going to destroy this place, everything in it. You think Satan is going to let, that go on without a fight, a final push, a final assault? No, Satan is going to use everything that he can conjure up. And again, when I say Satan, brothers and sisters, remember, Satan is just another word for adversary. There are many so-called Satans, demons, fallen angels. Hundreds of millions of them. Hell, most of you live with them. If you're not listening and responding to these messages, you're probably either one of them, or you under the spell, or you're oppressed, or what I guess, possessed by one of them. Because you ought to be asking yourself the same question. Why would they hire 87,000 IRS agents and train some of them to use deadly force? You think the prison system as it sits today can house millions and millions of more prisoners? They don't even have the staff the prisoners that they have. This is going to be a military operation, brothers and sisters, as prophesied. It's going to be a military operation. It's going to be your government that's going to do a mass incarceration. Remember those contact tracers? Where do you think they went? They didn't go anywhere. They're being trained too to spy on you. And many of our people out there thinking, you're going to just be, you just going to be a free agent out here. You're just going to do your own thing, and I ain't worried about all that. Y'all can worry about all that stuff. I'm not worried about that. I know you're not, but you will. You will. And then you're going to regret the day that you blew these messages off. You're going to regret the day that you didn't want to hear about it. Brothers, we're in the end. This thing is wrapping up. There are monsters in charge of these cities. Monsters in charge of the nations, of the earth. Monsters. I ain't talking about no aliens. I'm talking about fallen angel seed. Demon, wicked beyond what you could ever imagine. A lot of you because you don't have it in you to be a vicious mass, murderer. Because you don't have a Jeffrey Dahmer mindset. You think they don't. A William Casey mindset. You think that they don't. You better think again. These people are vicious wolves. And now, this Biden administration with all of his cohorts, Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter. They're all in a cahoots in this. They're all signed. They all signed it. They all, took the oath. And the oath is, whatever you need to do to destroy them and get them under control, to enslave them, you do it, or we're going to throw you right out there with them. Don't forget about, the Nazi camps and what they did. These labor camps in China, what happened? Pot Po. You know what Pot Po is? Think Vietnam. Think the Khmer Rouge. You go ask the South Vietnamese what Pot Po did. The re-education camps. A book says there's nothing new under the sun. There is nothing new under the sun. What was is to be again. That's a dark cloud over our heads, brothers and sisters, Israel. We're at the end. And if you haven't found it in your heart now to turn back, to come back, to stand up for the truth, stand up for the word, fight against these liars, all these Christians who are going to be manning those camps that you're in, Israel, including the Christians that look just like you. Yeah, the Judas Iscariots, if you want to say that. The Jezebels, the Hamans, the Nabals, all of them. Right amongst you, but hate you. But they smile in your face. But as Sister Hammond was talking earlier, she said, how that song goes? She said, Brother DFG, she said they smile in your face, but all the time they want to take your place. They're nothing but backstabbers. Well said, Sister Hammond. But brothers, I'm telling you, it's about to go down. And for those of you who are sickly, you know, polio is back. So they say. They say polio is in the water. New York, other places, so they say. Now, you know, my inquiring mind, let me say this correctly. You know what the Ruach HaKodesh is telling your brother? Polio. The MP. Y'all know what the MP is, right? The new one. The one that started with the bisexuals and homosexuals. But now somehow or another it's made its way to Israel again. Now we're the number one, you know, potential carriers of it. I wonder if they're hiding something else. I wonder if this is the cover story for the long-term effects that's now starting to reveal itself, like many of these professionals told us a couple of years ago, around those who took the jab. But I wonder if this is happening and they're just pushing it out, blaming it on somebody else or something else. Because they will never admit what they were really up to. People talking about, well, they didn't have time to really, you know, work out the kinks and, you know, in some of these, you know, jabs, you know, stuff they put in some of the bodies of those who allowed it to happen. Well, they didn't have a lot of time to, you know, they had to rush it through. But no liability to anybody who, you know, who sold it, and no liability to anybody who mandated it. They're not liable for whatever might happen. No liability there. There was no time to test it in the laboratories. 5 years, whatever, 7 years. But what you fail to realize is that they did test it. But they didn't test it in the laboratory. They didn't test it on laboratory monkeys. They tested it on many of you. And now they're beginning to see the side effects. So I guess those coffins will have some uses for something. They don't need them for those who are in the FEMA camps. I guess they'll need them for those who dropping dead in the streets. Did not prophecy in Revelation say the blood in the street would be waist high? Now I know they said because of war, but this is war. Biochemical war. Still war. Chemical warfare is warfare. But again, I just thought I'd bring it up. Interesting. What the word says, they will kill you. Throw you out of their synagogues and kill you, thinking that they're doing Yahuwah a favor. Are you ready, brothers and sisters? Are you ready? You preppers out there? You ready? Your parents out there, are you ready? You got a plan for your little ones? What plan can you have if you don't have Yahuwah standing behind you? What did Abraham tell us yesterday in Genesis 14? That Abraham, what he said, Yahuwah was my shield. You know what a shield is there for? Is to protect you. Brothers and sisters, you all who have little children, do you have your shield? Because the shields made by man is not going to stop these men. A shield from Yahuwah will. But do you have that relationship? Has it been established? Are you in obedience? Are you sharing the word? Are you teaching the word? Are you ready? Are you ready? Because guess what? The show has begun. In Israel, guess what? You are the leading actors in this one. But as the old saying, how you say, art imitates life? This time, life is going to be the art. I better say it, the lost of life. Get ready, brothers and sisters. Yah is the way. Yahuwah is the way, Israel. Come out from among and be you separate, says Elohim. Touch not the uncleanliness. Stop praying to these demons, these lesser gods. Get out of those churches. Get out of. They're gonna throw you out anyway. If you're genuine, if you're a true believer, they throw you out of there any damn way. So why wait on them? According to John 16:2, so they're gonna throw you out of their synagogues for the truth. So why are you still there? If you're truly in the truth. It's decision-making time. But in truth, if you don't have your mind made up, you're out of time. DFG, again, public service announcement to you, brothers and sisters. Pray you listen. Bye now.